The 19th century, a time of gaslight and carriages, of top hats and bustles. But it was also a time shrouded in mystery. The veil between our world and the next seemed thinner then. Stories of haunted houses and ghostly encounters filled the newspapers. Seances were all the rage. People were drawn to the unknown. They yearned to understand what lay beyond this life. In this era of shadows and whispers, a most peculiar story unfolded. A story that challenged the very nature of life and death. This is the story of Edward Espero. Edward was no ordinary child. Born in a small town on the outskirts of London, he seemed like any other boy. He had bright eyes, a curious mind, and a fondness for sweets. But Edward harbored a secret that set him apart from every other child alive. Edward remembered being born. Not just the moment of birth, the pain, the confusion. Edward remembered a life before his current one. He spoke of a grand house with a sweeping staircase and a garden filled with lilies, his favourite flower. He described a woman with kind eyes and a gentle touch, a woman he called Mama Cecily. These weren't mere fantasies. Edward spoke of places and people unknown to anyone in his family, details too specific to be mere imagination. He recalled events, names, dates, all from a life seemingly lived before he was even conceived. At first, his parents dismissed it as an overactive imagination. Children and their stories, they thought, always weaving tales of fantastical lands and imaginary friends. But as Edward grew older, so did the clarity and consistency of his memories. He spoke of his past life with such conviction, such detail, that it was impossible to ignore. His parents, a simple baker and his wife, were devoutly religious. Talk of past lives and reincarnation was unsettling, even heretical. They urged Edward to keep these stories to himself, fearing the judgment of their small community. But Edward couldn't help himself. He confided in his younger sister Mary, whispering his memories to her as they lay in bed at night. Mary, with the unquestioning acceptance of children, believed him wholeheartedly. She listened with wide eyes as he spoke of grand balls, horse-drawn carriages, and a life far removed from their own. As Edward grew older, his memories didn't fade, they intensified. He'd wake from vivid dreams, his brow slick with sweat, his heart pounding in his chest. He'd see flashes of another life, hear whispers of another name. These experiences both fascinated and terrified him. Edward's mother, a woman of quiet faith, found herself torn. A part of her wanted to dismiss it all as childish fancy, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to Edward's stories. She saw the fear in his eyes, the genuine wonder in his voice. She began to wonder if perhaps there was some truth to his claims, however impossible they seemed. His father, a pragmatic man of flour and yeast, found it all preposterous. Nonsense, he'd say, born of too many fairy tales and not enough work. He worried what people would say, what the vicar would think. He urged Edward to forget these fantasies, to focus on more earthly matters. The tension in the household was palpable, a constant hum of worry and doubt. Edward's mother, torn between her husband and her son, finally decided to seek help. She confided in their family doctor, a man of science and reason, hoping for a rational explanation. Dr. Thomas Ashton was a man of medicine, a firm believer in logic and empirical evidence. He listened patiently as Edward's mother poured out her heart, detailing her son's strange claims. Intrigued, rather than dismissive, Dr. Ashton decided to meet with Edward himself. Edward, initially shy, warmed to the doctor's gentle demeanour. Dr. Ashton didn't dismiss his stories or treat him like a child. He listened intently as Edward, with surprising clarity, described his past life as a young man named Daniel, who lived in a grand estate in the English countryside. Dr. Ashton, ever the pragmatist, began his own investigation. He started by researching the details Edward provided: names, dates, locations, anything that could be corroborated. To his surprise, he found startling coincidences. A grand estate matching Edward's description did exist, though it had been abandoned for decades. Dr. Ashton, his curiosity piqued, took Edward and his parents on a trip to the estate. As they approached the crumbling manor, Edward's eyes widened in recognition. He pointed to a weathered statue by the overgrown fountain, a statue he described in detail weeks before. Inside the house, dust-covered and silent, Edward led them through a labyrinth of rooms, each one seemingly familiar to him. He stopped in a room with faded floral wallpaper, pointing to a discoloured patch on the wall, where he claimed a portrait of Mama Cecily once hung. The visit to the estate shook Dr. Ashton to his core. The coincidences were too many, the details too precise to be mere chance. He began to question his own skepticism, realizing that some mysteries might lie beyond the realm of scientific explanation. The town's murmurs. Word of Edward's abilities spread through the small town like wildfire. Some were skeptical, dismissing it as attention-seeking or delusion. Others, however, were captivated. They saw in Edward's story a glimmer of hope, a suggestion that death was not the end, but merely a transition to another existence. The local vicar, a stern man with a booming voice, denounced Edward's claims as heresy, warning of the dangers of dabbling in the occult. But his words seemed to have the opposite effect. People flocked to the Espero household, eager to hear Edward speak of his past life, hoping for a glimpse into the great beyond. Edward's parents, once fearful of public scrutiny, found themselves at the centre of an unexpected storm. They grappled with their newfound notoriety, trying to protect their son while also acknowledging the profound implications of his experiences. A life lived before. Edward, despite the growing attention, remained remarkably grounded. He continued to share his memories with a mix of innocence and wonder, never wavering in his conviction that he had lived before. He spoke of his love for Mama Cecily, his sadness at her passing, and his joy at being reunited with her, albeit in a different life. His story, though strange and unsettling to some, resonated with others. It offered a glimpse into the possibility of reincarnation, of souls travelling through time, carrying the echoes of past lives. Edward, whether bewusstly or not, became a beacon of hope for many, a testament to the idea that life, in some form, continued beyond the veil of death. As he grew older, Edward's memories of his past life remained vivid. He carried them with him, not as a burden, but as a reminder that life was a tapestry woven from multiple threads, each life connected to the next in ways we might never fully comprehend. The unanswered questions. Edward Espero's story, though compelling, remained an enigma. Was he truly remembering a past life, or was it a case of an overactive imagination fueled by the spiritual fervor of the time? There were no definitive answers, no scientific explanations that could fully explain the depth and detail of his memories. Despite the lack of concrete proof, Edward's story served as a powerful reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. It challenged the boundaries of our perceived reality, forcing us to confront the possibility that our existence extends far beyond the confines of a single lifetime. Edward's story, passed down through generations, continued to spark debate and fuel speculation. It remained a testament to the enduring power of the human mind, our innate desire to understand the unknown, and our eternal fascination with the mysteries of life, death, and what may lie beyond. Echoes of Edward Espero. The story of Edward Espero, the boy who remembered being born, serves as a potent reminder that some mysteries may never be fully solved. It challenges us to keep an open mind, to acknowledge that our understanding of the universe is constantly evolving. Though we may never know for sure if Edward was truly privy to the secrets of reincarnation, his story continues to resonate, echoing through time, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and our eternal quest to understand the mysteries of life, death, and the possibility of a life beyond.